Good morning, everybody, and thank you for being here. And we will be starting in the 15th chapter today. Starting in the 15th chapter, verse 1. And we'll begin with a proverb that many of you have heard over your lifetime, I'm sure. And we're just continuing. Solomon just continues to lay out for us the difference between a wise man and a foolish man. The difference in their decisions and the difference in their results. And so everything, this entire proverb really is that you're going to hear two of them you're going to hear really two themes. One of them is loyalty and faithfulness to God, and being good to your neighbor. And he begins with a section that's going to talk about our language, our speech, how we talk, which is a extremely common theme in the book of Proverbs. You can break it down. There's 33 different proverbs in this chapter, and about a fourth of them deal with our words, our language. And we all know, I hope, the importance of words and how they can build up, they can tear down. I've said many times, the old saying kids use, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. Generally, those are kids saying that, because if they live long enough, they'll find out words can hurt, and words can hurt very bad. And so he begins with, again, this proverb that is very common, very well known. A soft answer turneth away wrath. That's the part we usually know. The second part of it, but grievous words stir up anger. And again, he says, the wise know to answer carefully, to answer, as he uses the word here, softly, and that helps to diffuse a situation, whereas a harsh answer tends to make it worse. And the word here, anger, is again very common word in Scripture, and it's the word talks about, the original Hebrew word talks about heated air, puffed up air. And so he's saying to us that a harsh answer kind of heats up the air. It swells things up. It makes things all that much worse compared to a soft answer. He continues that same thought. Then in verse 2, the tongue of the wise useth knowledge aright, but the mouth of fools poureth out foolishness. Again, fairly straightforward statement that he makes there regarding words. He says the wise, he uses words rightly, but the foolish man just pours out foolishness, is what he calls. Wise people, he says, the way they talk, they make others around them better. They help others, whereas the foolish man tears down others, harms others with their language. And then here's the real capper for all of that. The eyes of the Lord are in every place, beholding the evil and the good. that whichever way you choose, wise language or foolish language, he says God sees it all. You may be able to talk about your friends behind their back, but God sees it. You may think nobody else knows it, but God knows. And so that's a real stark reminder for us about our words. You might whisper it in someone's ear. You may, just say it to one or two people. But a couple things about that. We should know by now, by experience, that what you think you have told someone in confidence often has a way of ending up on the evening news. But even if it doesn't, he says God knows our words. He knows them. Even more, the Bible teaches he knows our heart. He knows, you can, a lot of times people say something and then it comes back, well, that's not what I meant. What I meant, but whatever you say, he said, we're reminded by Scripture that God knows the intent. God knows the heart. Verse 4, a wholesome tongue is a tree of life, but the perverseness therein is a breach in the spirit. Righteous men, wise men, their words, again, bring healing. I hope everybody listening today, watching today, has experienced that someone who you've had someone in your life who was a wise person, who was a godly person, a righteous person, and the words they spoke to you brought healing. They brought comfort. They brought peace. If you've ever had been out in the woods and got poison oak or something, you put the lotion on it, the cream on it, the ointment, sunburn, you put the medicine on, and the calming, the cooling effect that it has. My prayer is that our words as believers would have that kind of effect on those around us, because a wicked man, he says it's like taking a spot where you're sunburned and somebody pouring hot water on it. Just makes it worse. But a righteous man, he says, they bring life. A fool despiseth his father's instruction, but he that regardeth reproof is prudent. Wise man learns from his parents, learns from their example, learns from their mistakes even, whereas the foolish man rejects what he sees, what he hears from his parents. In the house of the righteous is much treasure, but the revenues of the wicked is trouble. Real quick way of saying that the righteous man takes what he has and he uses it for good. He uses it for wise things, whereas the wicked man uses his possessions in not only an unwise way, but in a way that makes his life ultimately worse, makes his life even harder. And then here is a verse that really should, I hope, kind of govern our thoughts as we wrap up today. The lips of the wise disperse knowledge, but the heart of the foolish doeth not so. A wise man, others are better off. Others are other people wiser because of our words. That the words that we speak help others to grow closer to God, whereas the words of the wicked man, they destroy, they tear up, they're death. There's a question, two questions that I don't know where I heard these originally. I didn't make them up, but are two questions that I think really deserve careful thought on our part every day. And one is the people we come into contact with, our friends, our associates, are they closer to God for having been with us, for having dealt with us, for having interacted with us? Are they closer to God or further from God? And then a secondary question to that one as well, very similar. Am I closer to God because of that person in my life? Or am I further from God? And if we answer that question, that because of that relationship, I'm further from God, then maybe we need to question whether we should be in that relationship. If we look and say, is that person closer to God because of me? And we can't answer that in the affirmative. We need to evaluate our life. We need to evaluate our words and the impact that we are having on others. Our words are important tools that can be used for good in the hands of the Lord or used for a curse in the hands of Satan. You have a good day. Think about that, and we will see you back here tomorrow morning.